When I'm performing or recording with Omnisphere, I usually have the main page up while I'm playing. This way you can have a bit more control over some of the global parameters of any individual sound or part that you're working with. Right here, you can find the main page. I'll click on it and open it up. I can globally transpose the entire part that is loaded here. So forget about part 2 or 3. I've got nothing in there right now, but we'll just deal with part 1 as its own entity. And if I wanted it to be an octave higher, I can move it up or down that way. I can restrict the number of voices that this part is allowed to use. Right now, it's at 12, so if I play a triad, you can hear it. But if I go to 1, I'm playing a triad, but it's only picking out one voice at a time. So you can decide how many any part can use. What scale is it operating with, and the clock speed comparative to the rest of the parts are located right under that. Whether it's triggered with latch or when it triggers if you're dealing with something that's playing back an arpeggio or a sequence, and then the gain. Now I can also adjust the part level right here. So again, you can always do that on the multi itself. If I go to the multi and choose the mixer, I can adjust the part levels, but it's nice to know that you can do it in here as well. Bring it down or bring it back up again. And you can command click on any of that to bring it back to 0. You can solo and mute the parts here. And you can also decide what MIDI channel this part is going to react to. So if you're using multiple MIDI controllers or you want to be able to switch sounds by switching MIDI channels, you can set up what MIDI channel your part will react to right there and what out it's using. You can adjust some quick tweaks between the layers right here, like the volume of each layer. And there's a master filter that is separate from the individual layer filters. So right here, if I'm in layer A, it has its own filter, but the main page has a filter, a high pass and low pass filter that the entire sound, both layers, can be routed through. You can enable or disable sustain and expression input. Adjust how the pitch bend reacts. So if I want to do the old Jordan Rudess style octave down, one step up, I can do that. And then you can adjust whether this instrument is a solo monophonic type instrument or multiphonic. And if you do enable solo, you can also enable glide. So right now, if I enable both of those and change the glide time to a little longer, you'll hear it. And you can go pretty drastically long with the glide time. And you also can decide for the glide if both part A and B are going to respond. So I can disable part B from there. Hear how one part gets to the note faster? Not both parts have to follow the same rules, which is kind of cool. And then finally, you can adjust the velocity curve of the sound you're playing. And like anything else that has it, take a look for that magnifying glass to zoom in and make fine, minute adjustments to your velocity curve. And as if that wasn't cool enough, every part in your multi can have a different velocity curve. You can have certain elements playing at full volume the whole time, and certain elements having more dynamic range than others. Very creative way to craft some cool layered sounds.